Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Do you remember what it was like when the 2020 election was rigged and stolen? Do you remember all the bullshit stories people told you about how the fraudulent election would be overturned? Do you remember the symbols of tyranny when fences went up around D.C. for Joe Biden's inauguration? Do you remember watching fuel and food prices skyrocket in a matter of months? Do you remember watching our borders being invaded by a virtual army of unidentified criminals? Do you remember watching our nation get systematically destroyed for 4 years by the Joe Biden autopen administration? Do you remember longing for the days of winning when we had Donald Trump in the White House? Do you remember thinking he was going to die when the bullet aimed at his brain only grazed his ear? Do you remember rejoicing after witnessing the miracle that saved his life? Do you remember celebrating the epic landslide victory in November of 2024? This is what you hoped for. This is what you prayed for. This is what you voted for. So why are you questioning every decision he makes now that he's back in office? God didn't save his life so he could make mistakes. He knows what he's doing. Maybe it's time to shut the up and let him cook.
Poor producer Ron. He has to beep out so many bad words. There are other videos today that we're going to be playing, and producer Ron, I was like, hey, there's some bad words. You're going to have to do that one too. And so anyways, but so glad that you're with us today. It's Thursday. It's the 29th of January. Tomorrow is Michelle Aganza, where we, just in case you're new and you don't know, Michelle Aganza is where we celebrate my birthday. And the way that I like to celebrate my birthday is by giving away some of my favorite things to my viewers. And so we're going to be doing that tomorrow. I have been working all week on which things we're going to be giving away and what do I like, what do I love, asking my assistant, asking producer Ron, like for suggestions and all different kinds of stuff. And so I've been sending things to producer Ron all week, getting ready for tomorrow. And I'm very excited about it. Okay, so tomorrow, Michelle Aganza, you got to be live to win. Okay, got to be live. All right, want to make sure you know. So be there or be square, right? Be here or be square. All right. So, all right. I wanted to kind of go back before we go forward, and I want to talk about Tuesday's show. So, well, first, before I talk about Tuesday's show, I want to tell you, so there's been kind of a little bit of a trend going on here lately I wanted to mention. So many people, many of you viewers have been writing me. And I've noticed that there has been a little bit of a trend of people saying how much they've been learning by watching the show and thanking me for doing the show and producer Ron and me and the documentaries and the this and the that. And so I just thought, wow, that's so great. Like, I just recently noticed that people have been talking about how much they've been learning. I know that the Michelle Moore Show has continued to grow just on Rumble. I think it's just been a couple of days ago, we hit 65,000 subscribers on Rumble, which is just crazy. And so, you know, that's, I always say that's God's department. So that's up to him. You know, I just am obedient in my department, which my calling is really to be a teacher. I'm called to be a teacher. So anyways, and I've talked about that. Many of you know about that. And so, you know, you've got the fivefold ministry and the fifth one is teacher, and that's my calling. And so I really, and I'm actually working on some things now with Jay from ATKN. We're going to be doing a 4-week series on teaching about some different things that are faith related. So that's going to be a great series coming up. But that, again, goes back to my heart, though, to teach. And I can see that just from people's comments and questions and emails that a lot of times people don't know some of the basics when it comes to faith and things like that, and how to spot something that maybe isn't right or isn't biblical or in line with God's word. And so I reached out to Jay and asked him to come on. So we're going to be doing a 4-week series. I'm very excited about that. Starts in a couple of weeks. I'm excited. But anyways, and so I just want to say, you know, thank you so much for writing and sharing. And, you know, it's just good. It's we're all here to try to help one another. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for those of you that, write me letters and send the emails and leave the encouraging comments. And I just want to say thank you. It's very sweet of you to share the things you've learned or how you've been encouraged. And I just appreciate that. That's really sweet. And that you would take time out of your day to share that. So thank you. All right. So Tuesday's show, we had Mark Taylor here. And he was here with me, and I thought it was a good show. But, again, we've had a lot of new viewers, new subscribers, new people. Producer Ron said that he even has noticed that there are a number of people that will even comment live in the Rumble chat, and there'd be user handles that he hasn't ever seen before. And so he shared with me this morning that, he's noticing some new stuff as well. So we're realizing that there are some people through the comments and things, we're realizing that there are people that are watching that are brand new. I think not only to the Michelle Moore Show necessarily, but they're also brand new, possibly to the, I don't want to even say the movement, but just kind of waking up to what's been going on. I mean, we had somebody leave a comment asking that we're in a war. What does that mean? And so, or people being surprised that I'm talking about that there's more than one President Trump. And so one of the things that I want to say about that is that, sometimes we think we're looking at somebody and you kind of go, oh yeah, that's Hillary Clinton. And you don't really look closely. And so you don't really notice that Hillary looks different. And so we just kind of see what we're expecting to see sometimes until we realize that's what we do. And then we start being more intentional about paying attention and looking at exactly what we're looking at. So anyways, with that said, I said a few things on Tuesday, and I want to play, producer Ron's put together a little montage here for us to look at together. But apparently some people were surprised about some things that I said. So let's take a look. I see Sheva says, Michelle, you can't be serious. You are why our side is laughed at like we're psychotic. No, I'm dead serious. I met 3 different Trumps in person at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm going to take it a step further, Shaya. So before I went, the week before, I was actually offered to play golf with Trump. Now, here we are in what is called a war, so to speak, for at least, I don't know, years now, over a decade. And so when I got off the phone after saying, no, I'll go to the ladies' luncheon because I don't even putt, much less golf, I thought something's really, really off that they would offer for me to play golf with President Trump when we're supposed to be in a war. So how you reconcile that is beyond me. But I'm telling you right now, there's way more than one Trump. And if you can't see the difference between them, maybe you ought to get your eyes checked. I don't know, honey. DG 1934 says, Michelle, I believe you. I've noticed him looking different, talking about President Trump, his hair and skin color and eyes. Yeah. And so definitely. And so there's so much. So, at the end of the day, I mean, there's the one that I call golfer Trump. I've been very open about that. And then when the third one that I met, when he said, my eyes, is that Radcliffe up on the stage, which it was, but he goes, my eyes just aren't what they used to be. I was like, that ain't Trump. And actually, the funny thing is, it actually, to me, looked like Robert, I think was his brother's name, that supposedly passed away on a Saturday evening while President Trump was still president in his first term. And so I don't know. Did he pass away? I have no clue. I just know that this gentleman really looked a lot like that brother of his. And so anyways, but yeah. And I had someone say something about that I was the only one that disclosed, oh, Michelle, I believe you met many Trumps, but why doesn't anyone else say this? No one else says this. Simply Sylvia. That's right. Well, there's different reasons. And so, but everybody plays along, and I don't understand it either, honey. I don't know, but I do the full disclosure. I let you know everything that I know, and you decide for yourself. And so if somebody wants to think that I'm cuckoo or whatever, I don't really care. I'm going to tell you the truth so I can sleep good at night, because that's what God's called me to do. And so if you don't like it, that's on you, not me. Okay, so there you go. I obviously was upset. You could tell, producer Ron could tell, and Mark Taylor could tell. So, anyways, and I was upset about it. I'm not really sure exactly why. Because I mean, I'm just being honest and transparent about it. I really thought that the comment itself and the way it was worded was disrespectful. I mean, to say that, oh, what you're saying, and you're one of the reasons why people in this movement call us psychotic was quite, I guess I took it as insulting. Quite frankly, I still think it is. Producer Ron agrees, and as well, because we talked about it. And so look, at the end of the day, I'm just telling the truth that I know to the best of my abilities and in my own research and my own connections and the people that I speak to, sources, all of that. So, you know, that's the best I can tell you. I do believe that there are other people that absolutely know there's more than one Trump. And so when the viewer said that, and I read what the viewer wrote in the comments about how, why is it that you're the only one that brings it up? I think sometimes, and I didn't say this at the time, but, I didn't really want to go there at the time, but I am going to go there now. I do believe that there are people that don't want to bring it up because they don't necessarily want you to realize. I think they want to make themselves look bigger than or whatever, like, oh, look at me, I'm hanging out with Donald Trump or President Trump. And they're not wanting you to really understand who they're really with and what's going on. And so I just think that's what's going on. I just don't have anything to hide about the situation. I've gone into great detail about when I went to Mar-a-Lago and met 3 different Trumps in about a 24-hour period, how I ended up realizing, like, hey, something's up. I already had a red flag when I had been asked the week before if I wanted to golf with him, that they already had 3 people I guess there's 4 people on a team, and they needed a 4th, and they wanted to know if I wanted to go golfing as well. And so with them and be on his team, I don't golf. And so I wouldn't, the ladies' luncheon was definitely the place for me. And so, but when I hung up, I was like, something doesn't seem right at all. We're supposed to be in a war, and it's funny because I call him Golfer Trump. I know many of my viewers know that. And that's who showed up after the game was supposedly over. Secret Service and Golfer Trump was there. I said that I think it's absolutely crazy that I happened to be at the table closest to the door, at the chair closest to the door. The tables were huge round tables, and we had assigned seating. So I think it's crazy that I happened to be so close to him. I'm talking just a few feet away. Couldn't have been closer. I was the closest physically to him in the room, and there were quite a few women in there. And so, there is more than one Trump, and you may not realize that, and this may be a new concept to you. I mean, when I did is General Michael Flynn really who you think he is? I think I pretty much started that show out with showing the 4 different Michael Flynns, and so or General Michael Flynns, and so there's multiples of Hillary Clinton. There's multiples of many people, and so I just am surprised that Tuesday kind of took its own turn. And so it helped me to realize, though, like, we are getting a lot of new subscribers. And yes, our Michelle family that's been here, that's part of the family and knows each other, has a relationship here. We know. And so I think it's good for me to just be aware that sometimes we're growing, we're continuing to reach new people. And some of these concepts may be brand new to people. And we could potentially sound a little bit like, what? And it could be shocking for some people, but it's not new to us, and we know that we know that we know at the end of the day. And so, it's not hard to see. You just have to see, if that makes sense. All right, we're going to read a couple of viewer comments before we go on to the next thing I've got planned, because boy, we got a lot planned for today. Christ Believer says, I love the teaching that we learned from your show. Thank you, honey. Becky Lee says, I so much appreciate you, Michelle. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. And Christ Believer says, I was thinking about that Tuesday after the show, wondering if we will ever have another president that doesn't have doubles. That's a good question. Michelle, we like your honesty. At least I do. Deborah Lynn West. Deborah, by the way, Flashmore tore up Lamb Chop. And so he loves that toy. And let me tell you, he's got a gazillion toys, but he absolutely has loved that toy. So my future daughter-in-law found another lamb chop. We couldn't believe it. So he was so excited when she came home yesterday with lamb chop number 2. And he hopped around and carried that thing to his bed under the coffee table. I call it his safe place. So if he's running and playing with the kids and all that kind of stuff, and he takes something or runs, that's kind of his timeout. And he knows they're not allowed to touch him, that he gets to sit and rest or whatever. It's cute. But he took Lamb Chop to the bed and just started going crazy with it. So Skater9 says, I hear many truthers say the same thing. Yes. And so it's, this is not a new concept, but maybe new to some of you. And so I just, like I said, it's good for me to be aware that some people, this may be new. They may be somewhat new to the movement, new to this concept, new to knowing that this stuff is going on. Okay, Peg Poe. Hello, Peg Poe. I absolutely think there is more than one Trump. I think there's a whole bunch of them. The question is, are some of them good and some of them bad? That's the question I have, because I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to think that maybe something else nefarious is going on here. Piers, and that's what I was saying to Mark on Tuesday. Remember, I was saying there's times where you just think, what is going on? And so 1 minute you see the one that we voted for, and you that's the one from 2016. And then there's other times where it's like they're saying the craziest stuff, and you're thinking, okay, something else is going on here. And I do believe there could be like a good and a bad. And I remember the Holy Spirit revealing to me a couple of years ago that just because somebody looks different, that doesn't mean they've been replaced. Like, let's say it was somebody that you knew was no good. And so the Holy Spirit revealed to me, just because they've been replaced or they look different doesn't mean that the new one is good. Because I was assuming that. Hadn't talked about it, never really said anything about it. I thought, oh, okay, they've been replaced. Now they're working on the good side. No, not necessarily. And so the Holy Spirit revealed that to me. And the other thing that the Holy Spirit revealed to me during the slowing of the spread in this particular case was that just keep in mind that they can make anything look real. There's times even when I look at like a video of people, protesting and whatever's going on. And you got to think about it. Like, what the Holy Spirit showed me was, if they can make Star Wars look good or look real, they can make anything look real, Michelle. And so it's like, oh, that's so true. You can get lost and wrapped up in a movie because it looks so real. And so, good point. So sometimes I even wonder if we're even seeing things that are absolutely true or not. How do you know you're not even really watching a movie set? So I take a lot of things with a grain of salt, because a lot of stuff is either coordinated or aired or whatever and peddled to divide us. And we'll talk about that in a little bit in a greater detail. And so for today, okay, I believe, yep. And so blessed day today 79 says, rest at ease, Michelle. Most of us are behind you all the way. Mrs. MJ Norris says, when you know the truth and someone calls you out, it's okay to be triggered with righteous anger. Yeah, I don't know why it even really bothered me. But I think because I felt like it was, to say that people see people in the movement psychotic because of people like me, that was crazy. So Deborah West says, Katie Ann chewed up her first lamb chop too. Oh, wow. I had to buy her another one, and she goes crazy for lamb chops. Yeah, Flash Moore went crazy too. He loved it. So Purple Knight says, my wife and I just love your show. Thank you for all you do. Okay, producer Ron says lamb chop number 2. Ha ha ha. He's laughing. It's lamb chop number 2. And so, okay. And it's just so lightweight and easy to carry around. We need to buy some more of those. I need to get my assistant to go back and get some more so we can give those away at Flashaganza. That's what we need to do. Okay, so let's go on ahead and move forward. I have got so much for us today. It's crazy. I don't even know how we're going to get it all in. And by the way, I wasn't planning on telling y'all this, let's see, next Friday, mark your calendars, because Granny is dropping some new products. And so I'm very excited. I have had a number of products that I had approved months ago. And remember, I think I've mentioned this, where there was an ingredient that was coming straight from Israel. And so because of the tariffs and everything with President Trump, we weren't able to actually physically get the ingredient that we needed from Israel. And so we got it, and I'm so excited. I've been using the product. I just used it yesterday. I'm so excited because one of the two products, one of two, is launching next Friday. I approved of this product back in the spring of last year. So I am so excited about this releasing. And then the other product that has another of the same ingredient, that one will release in mid-March. So, but big release next week on Friday, and y'all are not going to see some of the things that are coming. You're just not even going to see it coming. You're just going to be shocked. So anyways, so I'm very excited. Okay, so to kind of give you an idea, gosh, I think we're at about 26 products releasing next week. And so we're not doing like bigger sizes, or it's new products. They're like legitimately new products. I'm very excited. A new skincare line that is so badly needed, that I've been very excited about and for months. And it's finally releasing. I'm very excited about it. And we're going to get into why it's so important. Oh, I'm so excited. But anyways, okay. So, all right. Tim Burchett, y'all know who he is, right? So he shares some shocking news. I happen to see it. This is the most insane thing. So the Senate is voting today whether or not we're going to keep sending 40 million, that's with an M like Michelle, $40 million a week. Like, are you kidding me right now? To people who hate us already, like he says in the video, they'll hate us for free. We don't have to send them $40 million a week. Take a look at this video. Completely insane.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. Just about over the flu, I guess. I'm past the contagious stage, so that's good. Today's the day, folks. I've been working on this for a couple of years now. We're going to hopefully the Senate will vote to defund the Taliban. And what's been going on? Every week, we've been sending them $40 million a week, if you can imagine that. And what happens? We send the money over there in the form of NGOs and aid, and there are three big banks that are controlled by the Taliban in Afghanistan. They take their cut. Just like the mob, the Lord just takes 10% as tithe. These guys, they take a lot bigger cut. In any transaction, ingress or egress, they get a cut. All we're trying to do is get it reported so we can stop it. And they use your tax dollars to do it, and it ought to disgust you. There's over 1,000 NGOs operating outside of Afghanistan right now. Look, those folks will hate us for free. And the United Nations, you add them on top of it, and it's who knows how much money's going over there. Look, we Americans fought and died to liberate that bunch from the Taliban. And so what do? We get out, we put the Taliban back in, we start cranking out the money to them. And money is definitely, and this is my opinion, it's flowing right back to America in form of contributions, dark money, campaigns, what have you. Elon Musk documented a lot of it to me and earlier on back in the old days. So it's going on. It's passed the House. It's sitting in the Senate. The bill is up today. Call your United States Senator. You've got two of them. Quit with all the nonsense. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You're not going to do squat unless you pick up that dadgum phone and call your United States Senator and tell them, vote yes on the bill today. It's in Foreign Affairs. It's the Senate version. It's called, it's foreign whatever in the Senate. Call your senator and get on it. Folks, we can do better as a country. Let's quit arming our enemies. Let's quit stealing your dadgum money. Don't worry about the senators in Tennessee. Haggerty and Blackburn, they're on board. I've talked to them at length. They've been great supporters. There's 49 others that need to be called, though. You got two in your state. Call them, folks. Do not leave this stone unturned. Let's hit this thing today. Today's the day the bill's up in committee. Thank y'all so much for sending me here. Let's take our dadgum country back.
Are you shocked like I was shocked when I saw that this morning? I couldn't believe it. I called producer Ron. He couldn't believe it. $40 million, not a month, a week. How does that even make sense? Pierre's mom once says, why on earth give the haters money? Exactly. Like Tim Burchett says, they'll hate us for free. Yet our veterans are sleeping under bridges. Yeah, Don't even get me started about the elderly, the orphans, and the veterans. Don't even get me started, because I get all fired up when I think about the way that they're being treated in this country. Whether the orphans or I mean, look at the stories about DHS, CPS, whatever your area calls the Human Services or Children's Department of Human Services. I mean, we know what's going on with some of them. We've had many guests that have opened our eyes to what's going on with that department. Look at what they've done to Megan Walsh and taken her kids. How dare she speak up? And it's just completely insane what is going on. And then, of course, our elderly and our veterans. And what about our people that have mental illnesses or drug addictions and who just really truly need treatment? They're sleeping homeless on the streets. It's complete insanity. By the way, I got a question for you. Okay, please put this, if you're watching live, please put this in the chat, either on Rumble or YouTube. I want to know. So have you ever seen a Somali person at an exit where you get off the interstate and there's usually homeless people and a lot of them are veterans? Okay, so do you ever see somebody who's Somali? I've been thinking about that recently in the last couple of days, and I'm like, I never see anybody that's homeless. That we're looking at all this fraud with the Somalis, and I'm like, where are they at the exit ramps at the interstates? I want to know. Like, has anybody seen that? So Mrs. MJ Norris says, I live in Maryland. My representatives have TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. They won't listen to me. It's insane. It's insane what they're doing. And so, producer Ron says the Somalis are at the Four Seasons. Oh, that's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny, but it's not funny really, because it's too close to the truth. That's what makes it not funny. Okay, so while we're waiting to hear about people's responses on that, I just want to know, have you ever seen a Somali that's homeless? I just want to know, how did they come to this country and not end up on the streets, but yet our veterans are, who fought for this country? See, that's why I said, don't get me started, because I'm going to get mad. All right. Because it just gets me fired up. It breaks my heart. It's a righteous anger. And I know it's the same for my viewers as well. We all feel the same way. If you love this country and you're patriotic, we love our elderly. We love the orphans, the children. Our heart breaks. We love animals, and we love our veterans. And we have compassion for those that have drug addictions and have problems and mental health issues that need real help. And so, Jewish Girl says, never noticed one, Michelle. So true. Yeah, it hit me Tuesday. It was like, wait a minute. A lot of times we out of sight, out of mind, or it's easy to kind of miss something. But once it gets brought up, it's like, wait a minute. It's like in our plain sight, Somali pirates are living like rock stars, Die Laughing says. Send them all back to where they came now. I know, right? Okay, let's keep going. We got a lot to cover today. So what happens when math isn't mathing quite right, especially when it comes to election fraud? Let's take a look.
It gets to the problem that we only have 4 million adults in the state of Wisconsin. So we're approaching, and the 7.13 million number on the voter rolls, that grows almost daily. It never ends. It rarely goes down. It drops slightly when they sent out the 4-year postcards, and then it shot right back up, and it's the highest that I've ever seen it. And it's even worse than this, because there's the 4 million adults in Wisconsin. Not all of them register, not all of them vote. We're really down around about 3.6 million, 3.7 million.
Okay, did you see that? 7.14 million voters, and there are only like 4 million adults. How is that? So, like I said, when math isn't mathing, I say that there's corruption, and this is not new. I almost said on Tuesday, and I didn't because, in fact, I almost said it a couple of times, but Mark Taylor and I were busy with other stuff. But I almost said, I can't wait until you remember back when the election happened and we were kind of in the midst of everything being stolen with the election. Okay, I remember that it was literally like everywhere you looked, There was a whistleblower talking about what they saw when they worked at the election polls. There was security footage, camera. There's all kinds of stuff. Even today's opening video had different clips of things we were seeing during that time frame. And I almost said on Tuesday, I can't wait, because you know good and well that President Trump has all those videos. You know that his team has it. And it's only going to be a matter of time before the internet starts flooding with them. And so sure enough, yesterday, when he truths on Truth Social, I get an alert that comes up. I get those push notifications. And so it's the only person that when they truth, I get alerted. Well, he does that in spurts. And so sure enough, what did he start doing? And he did it again this morning, where he's talking about election fraud. I love it. It's so good. And so sure enough, we're going to start seeing some videos we haven't seen since then. It's like they were wiped off the internet. A lot of people, I think, never even saw the video footages. And I can't wait until they do. And I think that of course, we know that it's going to be undeniable, absolutely undeniable. My question is, and this came to me this morning, my question is, will they care? I don't know that a lot of the leftist loonies, I don't know if they'll even care. They don't seem to really care about what's right anyways. Okay, so look at here, YouTube viewer Carol. She says, great question. Never. She's talking about the Somalis at the end of the interstate ramps. Yeah, she's saying, GL, look at what GL is saying. No Somalis. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. I think that this is just not the case. Let's see. KM Sunshine says, I believe Texas is too. Our voter registration is a mess. I think every state. We know Arizona's a mess, right? Another viewer says, no, Michelle, I have not seen any. They have all the money they need from us taxpayers. That's right. Great point. Yeah. Why would they be begging for money at the exit ramp? They don't need to do that. So why beg for money when your people figured out how to steal it? There you go. Yes, that's a great point. Pennsylvania has the same problem. More vote. That's right. Pennsylvania does. That came out during that time frame. Thank you for bringing that up. I couldn't remember what state it is. It's Pennsylvania. And so that's right. That's right. Because I went around quoting that and talking about that forever. And so because it was like, how do you have more registered voters than adults in the state? This is completely insane. And so, yeah, just craziness. Okay, so in Venezuela. So, we know what's happened in Venezuela, but have we thought about or have you heard about how life has already changed, apparently, for people that are living in Venezuela and have been for decades? This is so sick, but take a look at what is going on.
In Venezuela, they were forced to eat dog kibble. Maduro used to joke about it. He used to tell the people, oh, it looks like I got you guys on a diet. Today they woke up and all the meat is on sale. All the inflation is gone. The problems they had with getting heat and gas, gone. The parts of Venezuela that didn't get enough water, now get more water than they need. It's as if they were strategically keeping their people suffering to better control them. Their eyes are being opened. They're seeing it for what it is. They were controlling that whole population by giving them scraps to the point where they were eating dog kibble and felt lucky to be eating dog kibble. This is what the citizens of Venezuela are saying as they're waking up and their whole world is changing right before their eyes.
I got to tell you, I was almost speechless. It's up there with the $40 million that we're sending, every week to the Taliban. What? Like, this is insane. So let's see, limiting meat, heat, gas, water to control your people. This is completely insanity. It's complete evil is what it really is, in order to control the population. Wow. Kind of brings a new level of understanding. It's crazy. So crazy. Tad Gray in one says, so happy for them now. They went through such suffering. Yeah. It's amazing. Also, by the way, have you seen that Fox News and a couple of other outlets are now talking about oh, I don't know, silver and gold. Have you seen that they're now, as of yesterday, starting to talk about it? It's gotten so big and it keeps going up and up and up. It's too much to be able to ignore. I think it's a riot. But, we've been talking about this, gosh, at this point, over a year. And so I just love it though, because they're finally having to say something, and so it's like, great. I'm glad to see them catching up with what we've been talking about. And so many of us here at the Michelle Moore Show, so many of the Michelle family, I know y'all got gold and silver. You've been writing me and telling me about it. By the way, the emails, a lot of emails I read and I don't reply. A lot of them I just don't see. I looked a little while ago and I have almost 54,000 unread emails. It's insane. And so the email thing, it just keeps going up and I'm doing the best I can, but it's insane. So just so that you know. Okay. So I want to move on. Do you know the details about the Trump accounts that he's starting and all that this year for the 18-year-olds and younger, or I guess below 18. So we're going to take a look at a video that breaks it down for you, because just in case you got kids that qualify, you need to know the details and know where to go and how to do what you got to do to be able to make sure that your child gets this benefit. So let's take a look at this Trump accounts.
Let's break down Trump accounts, the new child savings program rolling out in 2026. These are tax advantage investment accounts created for kids under 18 who are U.S. citizens with a social security number. Every eligible child gets a $1,000 seed deposit from the federal government. No action required, except you have to open the account. You enroll by making an election on IRS Form 4547 when you file your taxes, or through the online Trump Accounts portal once available. Once established, the account is invested and grows tax-deferred over time, similar to a traditional IRA until your child turns 18. You can help it grow by contributing up to $5,000 per year, and even employers or family can contribute too. Funds can be accessed without penalty when the child turns 18 for qualified expenses, like education, a first home purchase, or starting a business to jumpstart the American dream. This is one more way Republicans are delivering bigger paychecks, bigger tax returns, and bigger opportunities in 2026.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. You know me, it's still a thorn in my side that we're even paying taxes. So, the whole taxation thing is theft is where I'm at. But at least this is something that many of you will be able to either tell your children for your grandchildren, or for you yourself. You got kids that are, below 18 and qualify for this. They say, okay, so it's created for kids under 18 who are U.S. citizens and have a Social Security number. And so they say you can either fill out the form 4547, or you can go to the portal once it's available. So want to make sure that you heard those things. W.R. Carr says, got the email that my silver is on its way. I've made money since I bought it. It's amazing. My sons, they bought silver, quite a bit of silver a few weeks ago. And it's the same situation, of course, because it just keeps going up and up and up. Okay, so Fly Girl 61 makes an excellent point. She goes, we're eating bioengineered food and lab-grown meat because we stay silent. They control us much the same way. Excellent point. I can't argue with that. Fly Girl, you make an excellent point. That's why I love the show, because we get to interact live and I get to read your comments and your questions. And so many times you have a point that I hadn't even thought about, but you're right. You're right, honey. Okay. So, or what about, I don't know, vaccinated meats and stuff that, they put all different kinds of crap in, which I hate to even use that word because we know it's not really the true definition of what a vaccine would be. So anyways, okay. Well, by the way, also I saw this morning where Steak and Shake has now announced that they'll be adding to the Trump accounts. They're going to be doing $1,000 for those that I guess have children that meet the qualifications, maybe even employees if they hire 16 and 17-year-olds that aren't yet 18. I don't know. I didn't read. I don't know that they even really said exactly who will be qualifying or who they'll be giving it to, but they are saying that they will be contributing. And I think some other companies have been doing that as well. So very interesting. We'll see. I think President Trump actually announced that there was a couple of different people that were going to be adding to those accounts. And so I think that's great. We'll see how that kind of goes on. But interesting information. Okay. So let's talk again about another thing that, the conspiracy theorists got correct. So let's look at Russiagate. So Jesse Waters has a whole thing that aired about Russiagate, and Tulsi Gabbard had a big announcement, and it goes into what all she announced, and then also some other points. And so it's about 8 minutes. We're going to take a look at this, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. I want to make sure to bring a few things to your attention. So we'll talk about it on the other side. Here we go.
News alert, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting and ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment, and they were siloed. None of them knew what the other was doing, and only one analyst was in charge of drafting this report. There was nothing routine about this, and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. Nothing was coordinated with the other intelligence agencies either. Basically, this was home cooking for Barack Obama. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt. 1, that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true. There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations, but they were repeatedly overruled by CIA Director Brennan and FBI Director Comey, who insisted that they be pushed, even without verifiable evidence. The Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence, lied about their sources, misquoted sources, didn't corroborate their claims, suppressed intelligence that ran counter to their narratives, and even used anonymous internet postings. Rank and file CIA admitted what they were doing violated their own tradecraft standards. There was a massive pressure campaign that came right from the top. CIA analysts say they received unusual directives from political appointees, the CIA director, and Obama himself. This is how the Russia hoax was born.
Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
It was Russia in a very systematic way tried to interfere in the election and to try to advance the prospects of Donald Trump being elected.
This was such a malicious disinformation campaign perpetrated on the American people that at one point, 60% of Democrats believed the Russians hacked our voting machines to help Trump win the White House. What this report actually shows is that the Russians just wanted to create chaos and undermine Americans' faith in democracy. Solid intelligence suggested that Vladimir Putin didn't care who won. He had no preference. But like most people, expected Hillary to win and had a little docket of compromising dirt on her, dirt that he never released. Now, if Putin wanted Trump to win, why didn't Putin drop the dirt?
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Now, if Clinton was on tranquilizers like the Russians believed, why didn't they leak it to help Trump win?
How credible was the information about Hillary Clinton's power?
All I have seen is what the Intelligence Committee have reported through their investigation. I think the underlying point there is that we understand from intelligence what Russia said that they had. And the important point here is that if they were trying to influence the election, as President Obama and James Clapper and John Brennan, everybody said they were doing in order to support Donald Trump's election, they would have released the most damning of that information.
Obama and his spy chiefs knew that Putin didn't prefer Trump over Hillary, but they cooked the intelligence to make it look like he did. Obama and his intel spies knew that Putin didn't collude with Trump and that he didn't even direct his people to help Trump win. But they put it out there anyway. In a sense, Barack Obama did exactly what Putin wanted, undermined Americans' faith in free and fair elections and caused chaos in our country. Barack Obama, the CIA, and the FBI were the ones doing what our enemy wanted.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Even 2 years later, after the election, Barack Obama was still pushing a hoax he knew wasn't true. And he knew it wasn't true because he helped manufacture it.
They're undermining our alliances, cozying up to Russia. What happened to the Republican Party? They're cozying up to the former head of the KGB. Actively blocking legislation that would defend our elections from Russian attack. What happened?
Now, I don't know if it's possible to indict a former president for actions he took while in office. I'm not a lawyer, proudly. But Brennan, Comey, and others may have severe liability. Trey Gowdy says we know for a fact that Brennan committed perjury when he lied to Congress.
Director Brennan, do you know who commissioned the Steele dossier?
I don't.
Do you know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications?
I have no awareness.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
Well, that's a lie. Whatever happens to these guys is not revenge. It's accountability. And it's time for people to pay the price.
Okay, so he says, whatever happens to these guys, that it's not revenge, it's accountability. Okay, when I heard that, I was reminded of Tuesday. Remember, I asked everybody at the time that we were live on the show to put in the live chat what it is that you would like to see President Trump accomplish. What's kind of your number one thing? And so many people talked about justice. Accountability is justice. And so when he said that it's not revenge, it's accountability, I thought, oh, well, there you go. It's justice. And so I hope we're getting closer to it. One can only pray that that's the case. We'll see. Time will tell. I always say time will tell. So we'll see. I am reminded, the wheels of justice move slowly. I have also questioned many times, especially when we look at MK Ultra survivors that have lived through hell. And, let's say that like with Hope Beryl Green, she says that she was abused by Biden. She had the whole Epstein Island experience, different things like that. And so it's like, okay, well, even if something accountability happen today, is that justice? Like, they got to live a full life. Biden he's lived out his life. I see that also with Brian Mannix, where he's been on a couple of times. As a child, he was abused by a Catholic priest. And, that Catholic priest got to be free for decades after. And so it's like, where's the justice? Is that really justice? And so much of this has gone on for so long, and so many people got away with such horrific stuff for so many decades. We're not talking about months or years. We're talking about decades. And so is justice even possible? I don't know. I wonder sometimes if it's even going to be possible to achieve that at times. In that, I thought it was interesting, though, Tulsi Gabbard is referring all of this Russia hoax stuff to the DOJ. Is that another investigation? Is that going to be another thing that goes nowhere? I don't know. So we'll see if we're going to get justice. Okay, we're going to see. I thought it was interesting, too, that Russia knew all this stuff about Hillary Clinton. I thought that was interesting. They had that leverage. They could have helped Trump get elected, but they're saying, hey, we didn't really care who won. And they kept that to themselves. They didn't get involved. I thought that was interesting. Obama and his intel spies manufactured intel. So it was Obama, the CIA, all of those people. I thought it was interesting, too, because really, essentially, this is another one for the conspiracy theorists. We were right once again. A lot of the stuff that we just saw in that video, most of us know this. None of us are really surprised. Even after President Trump was put into office, he won, he was in office. Even in September 2018, Obama was still pushing Russia, Russia, Russia. And so he was out of office. Wonder if he's going to be held accountable for that. I thought it was interesting that he says there may be some severe liability, especially with Brennan, who committed perjury when he lied to Congress when he was asked if he had ever used the dossier, and he said he never used it. I thought that was interesting. Like, what is severe liability? Is that decades in prison? Is that your life? Is it life in prison? Or is it going to be that you get the death penalty? Like, what's up with that? And so I think that's interesting as well, but wanted to point those out. I think it's very interesting, though, that Tulsi Gabbard says that it's irrefutable evidence that everything pointed to Obama. So very interesting. Also, they said in the beginning of the story, there was the phrase used anonymous internet postings, which made me think about how I've said many times, you got to be careful about what you believe on the internet, because you never know who's really posting it and what are their motivations. I've certainly learned that just from being the host of the Michelle Moore Show and seeing people even lying about me, or people posting because they've listened to somebody else who's lying about me and they believe the lies. And so then they say the craziest crap. It's just crazy. And so it's like, oh, okay, like I'm some big super secret spy. Is that between the time that I'm doing the show and I'm making dinner for my family? Like, how's that work? And I'm getting, flash more to the groomer. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. And so you got to think about that and realize that sometimes people have their own motivations, whatever they are, and how crazy or whatever. It's just crazy. So you got to be careful to not be part of, I almost want to say, the abuse. The very people trying to help, we want to make sure that we don't shoot at them, if that makes sense. And so, or wound them. They're the ones actually trying to help. And so it's it's crazy. All right. So Rocky 2000 says, Michelle, I came to the conclusion that my family and I should become Amish, LOL. They're onto something there. They grow their own food, hard workers, homeschooling. Now you're talking my love language, talking about homeschooling. And so there's no obesity, there's no infertility, there's no cancer, there's no diabetes. I have to tell you, I was quite impressed with the young gentleman, that team of guys that were, oh gosh, I think real early 20s, like 20, 21, 22. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them were maybe even 19. When I went to North Carolina, and we went the first time, producer Ron and myself and we had the truck and all that stuff. And so we were delivering the first big load of food and supplies. And so to Jenica, and it was interesting because she was doing the tiny homes. And it was so interesting, or tiny buildings. They were more like buildings because they didn't have a bathroom. So I don't think you can really call it a home. But anyways, people were living in them. And so they were building those, and those guys were Amish. And I got to tell you, I was so impressed. She says, gosh, they eat so much. She goes, but it's worth it because they are getting so many buildings done in a week, like just in a very short amount of time. She goes, it's insane. But they were so young and their work ethic was amazing. And they were so sweet. And they were like, yes, ma'am. And oh, it was just amazing how talented they were. Like they knew how to swing a hammer. They knew how to build these facilities, buildings and stuff. And so these structures. And so I was so impressed with their manners and just who they were and how they were. And I was just taken with it, and they were there for a couple of weeks. And she says they ask for nothing except for they want food. I have to feed them. So she was making chili that day in a big crock pot. But anyways, and so, but yeah, they work up quite the appetite, and they worked their little tails off the whole time I was there. I saw them working and working and working. It was amazing. But yeah, the Amish have got, I think I'm right there with you, Rocky 2000. I've been thinking the same thing, like, wow, they really got it, figured out. And I've seen many Amish and Mennonites that are still doing the horse and buggy thing. Like they are really, really living that lifestyle. So it's amazing. Okay. So let's talk about, I love this guy, Victor Hansen, or Victor Davis Hansen. Okay, I love him. I don't know if y'all know who he is. You'll probably know him when you see his face, but he's talking about Trump and the counter-revolution that we're in. We're not in a revolution. We're in a counter-revolution. And he makes some excellent points. And so I wanted you to see this. Let's take a look.
And they call it the MAGA revolution. It's not a revolution. It is a counter-revolution. There's a big difference. This is a restoration. Let's use the word Trump restoration. We don't really appreciate what we've been through with 8 years of the Obama revolution and the 4-year more radical third term of Obama using or employing the waxen effigy of Joe Biden. A revolution that we've experienced was a cultural, economic, political, social evolution. It was very similar to the French Revolution under the Robespierre brothers. We should remember what they tried to do. They changed the days of the week. They renamed things. They tore down statues. They went after the church. Does this sound familiar? This revolution that we've experienced, everything was up for sale. Everything was negotiable. We invented a third gender and rammed it down people's throats. We tore down statues. We said 1776 was no longer the foundational date. It was 1619. We changed the very mechanism that we vote. We went from 70% of the electorate voting on election day to 70% of the electorate not doing that, either through mail-in or early voting. That was a radical change that had no discussion. It was done by fiat. It was incredible. We looked at girls' sports and we destroyed it. We said that transgendered biological males that were now transgendered females could compete. They won over 600 medals they took away from hardworking female athletes. We had drag shows among young children. It was an effort to change the entire Constitution. We forget that. They were trying to bring in Puerto Rico as a state and Washington, D.C. to get 4 instant senators. They were proud. They said that they were going to pack the Supreme Court. It hadn't been tried since 1937. And it was a object of disgrace ever since, but they were proud to try it again. They talked about making states, the Senate look like the House. They wanted, and a lot of them were advocating it was not fair that one senator in Wyoming, to take one example, is worth 250,000 votes, but a senator in California represented 20 million. They wanted to change the makeup of the Senate. They wanted to get rid of the Senate filibuster. Remember that. They wanted to bring back neo-Confederate nullification. 600 jurisdictions in the manner of South Carolina in 1832 are on the edge of the Civil War in 1860 when neo-Confederate Southern states said the federal government's law does not apply to us. Tariffs, Yankee tariffs, no, we were going to override them. Andrew Jackson almost invaded the Carolinas over that, South Carolina. And so these jurisdictions said federal law doesn't apply here. We're exempt. We have our own laws. You cannot. Federal immigration law does not apply here. It applies everywhere else to you, but not to us. So this was a revolutionary movement. Movies were different. Sports were different. Take a knee. And Donald Trump came in, and it was not sufficient to say we're going to stop the madness of $37 billion. We're going to stop the madness of being short 40 or 50,000 military recruits because of this DI, coupled with the humiliation in Kabul. We're going to stop the appeasement of China. But that wasn't all. He said, the government is broke. We're going to go through all of these agencies. And finally, for the first time in the history of this country, when somebody says they're going to cut federal spending and drain the swamp or cut the administration, we're going to do it. And there's going to be no changing names except to go back to traditional names. And we're not going to topple statues. And if you break the law and you're on campus and you're on a student visa, you're going to go back home. So we're in the midst of a counter-revolution. It's not revolutionary. You know what it is? It's a return to normalcy. It's a return to common sense. It only looks revolutionary to revolutionaries. But to the rest of the people, it is a counter-revolution to restore normalcy and bring the country from the far left fringes back home again.
He makes some excellent points in that video, so I had to show it to you. Just had to. All right, so if you know, you know. Let's take a look. The potential Trump Federal Reserve nominee, her name is Judy Shelton. She's suggesting back to the future approach, utilizing a gold standard in a cryptocurrency type of way. Let's take a look.
Would returning to a gold standard help the U.S. economy? Can you talk a little about your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say I don't see it so much as returning, but more of a back to the future.
Okay.
I think that what a gold standard stands for is monetary discipline for its own sake. That is, if money is supposed to be a unit of account and a reliable measure and a dependable store of value, it really shouldn't be subject to who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And I think that money needs to be stable and provide the foundation for productive economic growth. And when money is just a variable that financial markets toss around, or it's part of a derivatives formula, or it's part of someone speculating on currencies, it's not serving the private sector in the sense of providing that reliable unit of account so you can make plans. And under a gold standard, you did have that stability, and I think that's what's missing. And so I like the idea of a gold standard. I mean, it could be used in a very cryptocurrency way. The point is, do you have a unified money system so that when you talk about the international marketplace, everyone is playing on a level monetary playing field? And it's very important to have a rules-based approach. And that's why I'm advocating that we need to look at the virtues of a gold standard and try to come up with something much closer to matching those. And then I think we would have more solid economic growth.
That's kind of exciting. We'll see how that continues, but I'm excited about seeing a change in that position. So we'll see if she gets it, but that's kind of exciting. All right. So an American goes to China and decides to go to the doctor. What happened? Let's take a look.
I'm an American and I went to a Chinese hospital. Here is my experience. The doctor's appointment was so easy to book. I just booked on the machine and a kind staff member came to help me. After I got my appointment, I was able to see the doctor very quickly. In America, sometimes it takes months just to get a specialist appointment. But here, I was able to do it in one day. The doctors were very professional and they work extremely hard. The appointment was $4 without insurance. In America, this would cost at least $300 without insurance. Unbelievable. In the hospital, every worker knew what they were doing and they didn't make any mistakes. Everyone is playing their role to absolute perfection. Considering China has so many people, I'm very impressed by how efficient the healthcare system is.
Oh, that was very interesting. All right, so that's a perspective from an American that went to China. All right. So while we're talking about medical, oh my goodness. So Dr. Jack Cruz, many of you know that I'm a big fan of his. And so he talks about some interesting things that have to do with how the deep state's trying to control not only just us in general, but the Black population specifically. So let's take a look at what he shares.
This is crazy, folks. Listen to this doctor, former brain surgeon, expose the medical industrial complex and how EMFs are used to control you.
First to get rid of incandescents and then to put LEDs, then it gets even more nefarious. Obama says we need to figure out how to get brown people more controlled. So they pick Central and South America. They go down there and they start to perfect the targeting. They're using processed food. They're using jabs. They're using geoengineering. Things fall from the sky. And you may be saying, well, how does this really work, Jack? Like, what's the mechanism that's tied to it? Intel and AMD, when they make semiconductors, they have clean rooms, right? They don't want anything in there. It turns out your brain works on the same mechanism. So what did the government do? They take high atomic mass elements and deliver them in ways that you can't imagine. You have places in your body called the circumventricular organs. And remember, I'm a brain surgeon, so I know a little bit something about the brain. The circumventricular organs sit around your hypothalamus and your thalamus. These are areas where you never have a blood-brain barrier. These become the target of DARPA. They start to deliver these things. Do you want to know why geoengineering really is a problem? Not only does it block the sun, but when this falls down in the ground, those elements wind up going through places where you don't have a blood-brain barrier. And if they can convince you to use those earphones that Apple sells, then they can really get you because it lets tons of stuff in. So all the keto snacks that all the food gurus want to sell you has nothing to do with the food. It has to do with all the shit they put in there that's manufactured that has a higher atomic weight. What's the issue with drugs? It's not the SSRI drug, it's the fillers and preservatives in it that are a problem. We find out that every jab, not just the Pfizer one, every single one out there, including the one that was used in China, has 51 to 55 elements that are not supposed to be in there. All jabs have 100% chromium in them, has a +6 oxidation state. What does that mean? Negative to +3. That means it's a much more tunable atom when it interacts with electromagnetic radiation. Want to hear something even crazier? Chromium isn't found in every single drug that Big Pharma makes. So it gets better. Remember the story about PG&E? What was the element that caused cancer in the people out there around their power lines in that place? Hexavalent chromium. So you got the story of these high atomic elements with non-native EMF, and it's always associated with these unusual diseases that humans are getting. This is the collateral effects of the bioweapons program. What DARPA finds out is that the people that have the darkest skin are difficult to control.
Isn't it crazy how so many things make sense? It's just, the more we learn, it's like, oh, that's why this over here. Okay, makes sense. Did you hear what he said about all the pharmaceutical drugs? Now you're talking about the numbers I've heard is 250,000 plus pharmaceutical drugs on the market. Okay, so you're talking about all of them having chromium. I'm sorry, but that's hard to believe that exists by accident. So that sounds pretty intentional to me. I don't know about you, but that's what I think. Okay, so oh my word, just craziness. Okay, want to also let you know next week. So Mark Taylor will be here Monday. Tuesday, we've got Dr. Margaret's coming. She's going to talk about how your doctor could be getting you in the ER. And so that's going to be very interesting. So I'm excited about her coming for that. Okay, so you know how we talk about prayer and how it should be in schools and how they took prayer out of schools? Well, ever so often, just be aware that sometimes when it's prayer time, a kid could spill the beans. Let's take a look.
Let's all take a deep breath, hands together. We're going to talk to God, all right? Dear Lord, thank you for this day and for our friends.
Miss Tasha?
Yes, buddy?
Can you pray for my mom? She's really sad because her boyfriend's going back to his wife.
Whoa. Thank you for telling us, sweetie. We'll pray for your mama.
All right, Mama needs some prayers. The boyfriend's going back to his wife. It's just, oh my gosh, I had to share it. It's just so crazy. Oh my word. All right, tomorrow, Michelle Aganza. It's going to be fun. You got to be live to win. All right, I'll see you right here next time on the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven, and when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry both nationally and regionally by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
For Michelle's social media links, go to MichelleMooreShow.com.